All right, welcome back. I'm Aaron Heiser, Maker's Leather Supply, and this is part 2 of our bag making series on making the roll top rucksack. Again, here's the bag we're making. In this video, we're going to be talking about these two pockets right here. I'm actually going to do them differently on this bag than I did on this one, and when I say differently, on the outside, everything's going to be exactly the same, so the pattern is not affected. But on the inside, these are individual pockets that I worked really hard to sew in and sew together and all that. And honestly, it was a huge pain in the butt. So what we're going to do is make one large pocket that these zippers, you can reach into the pocket from either side. One, I think it'll be a lot easier because then you can store actually more stuff in there because it's a bigger pocket. And then two, I can assure you it will take like an hour and a half off of figuring and building and trying to figure out how to do it. Because it took me forever to figure out how to do those. Again, we're going to line this whole bag. So the pockets that we do, we don't really have to worry about how messy or clean they are on the inside of the bag because of the idea that with the lining, that's all going to be covered up anyway. Because believe me, these two individual pockets are extremely messy in there if it wasn't lined. So, that being said, I went ahead and cut out my big canvas piece. I'm going to rotate the camera down. If you notice, it's a lot closer. I put it up on the table with me. All of our work is going to be done pretty much right here in the middle of this pattern. So I wanted to bring it closer so that folks could see better. So there you go. I'll get my mouse out of the way here. Got to use it to turn on and off the video. All right. So I did go ahead and just make me a little patch with my maker's stamp on it. All right. There it is. And I'm so proud of my maker stamp. But anyway, once that's good and dry, I'll sew that to this piece that's going to go right here. In this video, we will do the pocket, which also includes these two zippers right here. All right, but the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to punch some holes for some reference points in my big pattern here so that when I set all this on top of my canvas, I can mark where all this goes, and I don't have to use a ruler and measure, that far from the top and that far from the side, and how do you keep it straight and blah, blah, blah. So I need to get my canvas out from under it so I don't ruin it. Bring my pattern back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch reference holes right there and right there, right there, and then one on each of these bottom support pieces here for the strap. So I'll find the corresponding hole punches here. All right, this one's 1.5 inches. This will cause the camera to jump a little bit when I hit it because the camera is now on my work surface. In the last video, it was on its tripod on the floor. That's why I try to do it on the floors, because when I hit stuff, I don't want it to bounce. But this is really all the hitting we're going to do in this video, so it'll be okay. And then, in the last video we talked about, I only cut a 1-inch slot there instead of 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches is fine. That just means you have to use a larger D-ring with it, and I don't want to use the large D-ring. I just want to use the 1 inch. So there we go. So now, when I put this piece back on my canvas, I'll be able to mark where all of these items are going to lay fairly easily. I say that this is actually going to be on top of a leather part that we'll do later. So anyway, so the first thing I need to do really is I need to build some zippers. All right, so I've got my my zipper chain here, and we're just going to build two very, very simple zippers. And I'm sure I didn't bring everything to the table that I needed for it, but we'll see what we forgot as we go. I did a zipper video on the last bag, and so I will still do some explaining on the zipper as I do this bag. And I can't find my damn scissors, which means I gotta pause the video. Sorry. All right, found my scissors. Okay, so again, we're gonna build some zippers here. I like to cut my zipper a little bit longer than I need. I can always trim it off later, but so I've got these just remnants of zippers from other projects, and gonna cut them off. We do sell the zipper by the yard and the zipper kits to put them together. Hoping that my videos make it a little easier. I used to be very intimidated by zippers, but not so much anymore. Now they're kind of fun. And it's nice to be able to make it any size you want it and not have to buy a pre-made one and cut it down. Okay, so we have 2 zippers here. First thing we have to do is tear it apart. Okay, so that we can put it back together with a slide. This zipper will have top slides and bottom slides on it. The difference is top ones are meant to split open, the bottom ones are meant to stay together or keep it closed, keep the other end of it closed, not like a jacket zipper that's going to separate. So I need 2 slides, I need some bottom stops, and I need some top stops. And what I'll do is I'll build one, and then I'll pause the camera and build the other, and yeah, we'll continue on. So there's my bottom stops, and here my top stops. So I need 4 top stops because they're individual to each side of the zipper, and only 2 bottom stops because each zipper only needs 1 bottom stop. So to put your zipper back together, you got to take your slide and put it on one side of the zipper. All right, and then you take the other side. After you pull it down about 1/4 inch or so, you just take your other side and push it in there. Sometimes you'll get it just right on and it'll pull closed immediately. Sometimes you got to really, really work it. Again, I did a much more in-depth and close-up video of this on our YouTube channel. You can check it out, but it was a video with the other bag, and it's just called Zippers. All right, so there it is. I pulled that sucker on there. Now what I need to do is install my bottom stop first, and then I'll go back and install my top stop. All right, so the little bottom stop is just going to go on here, and it's going to kind of straddle some of the zipper chain there, or train tracks is what I call them. I'm sure there's a much more technical term. I'm going to use my maul and just press it down in there real good. This is a rubber pad I'm doing this on so that it'll go through. And then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to squeeze the little teeth together on the backside. In the event that you're not wanting to make your own zipper or whatever, you can easily just purchase a zipper the right length for the project, or even a little bit longer than the project, and just sew it in, and then cut off your excess. I've done many projects that way, but now I'm trying to better myself, and that includes installing custom zippers. So, all right, I'm just pinching these teeth down nice and good so that thing will never, ever come out, because we don't want that. There we go. All right, so what I need to measure is, I'll pull the slide down a little bit. I need to put this to where the bottom stop is right at the base of the zipper opening. Let me get this out from under it. I think that black is just making it way too dark. I need to put the bottom stop at the bottom of the zipper opening there. And then I kind of need to mark which teeth are barely showing in the top of the opening there. Let me reach across here to grab my marker. And those teeth will be removed and replaced by top stops. Okay, so there's one of them, and there's the other one. So here I've got that tooth and that tooth. I'm going to take my tiny little nippers here, and I'm just going to cut those teeth right off without damaging the other teeth. All right, there goes one side. And the other side. Clipped them right off. Now, my new top stops, all I got to do is take and wrap them where the teeth were and squeeze them on. Oop, that's the other bottom stop. I know that it's very difficult to see this. Again, I did a video with the other bag on doing this, and it explained this a lot better. But I'm just going to wrap that sucker around that ribbon there, take my pliers and squeeze it shut, and it will be there to stop the zipper pull from going off the end of the zipper. I will do a close-up and show you what all I did as soon as the zipper is complete. Little bitty pieces don't do well with large shaky fingers. All right. So there should be. I got two top stops up there, and I have my bottom stop down there. And this zipper is ready to install on the little leather piece here. Okay, again, I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to go and build the other zipper. And when I come back, we'll start mounting things. All right, so I got my zippers put together, and then I just kind of trimmed and rounded off the trimmed and rounded off the edges a little bit so that they would fit nicely behind the leather piece that they're going to be attached to. All right. So the next step would be I need to stick them together and set them aside for once I'm ready for them. So I'm going to take some of my double-sided tape. Run it along the sides of the zipper piece here. I want to be very careful not to allow the tape to show. Otherwise, you will have a nice little shiny spot on the side of your zipper that you'll be able to see. So you want to make sure the tape is completely on the leather and not hanging off anywhere. All right. So I will rip the back of the paper off of the tape here. And then I will place it over my zipper. And you just want to make sure that your zipper chain kind of stays in the middle of your leather strip. Set it down on there. And I'll just kind of give it a test, make sure that the zipper pull will fit between the layers of leather and everything, and it does fine. You do want to be careful doing that because, of course, this is just stuck on here with tape. And if you're using an oil tan especially, the tape doesn't always hold as well to oil tans, just like glue doesn't. All right, do that one more again. And then I'll give you a close-up of what my zippers look like. Got in trouble saying that in a bar once. Jenny won't like that joke. All right, there they be. That is what the finished zipper looks like. Yeah. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to bring my canvas back out and I'm going to start marking where all these things would go because they all need to be sewn on before the pocket on the inside is built. I'll show you all that so we can get to it. So here is my canvas. I need to get my rock and my rubber piece out of the way here. Here's my canvas. Make sure we're orientated properly here. Make sure that, you know, it's not turned 90 degrees because that would really stink to make all these measurements in the wrong spots and I have to cut out a new piece of canvas. Canvas is way cheaper than leather, but it's still not cheap and I don't like wasting. So, all right. So all I'm going to do is take a marker, okay? And I'm just going to mark where these holes are. These 2 holes, or these 4 holes, and that little slot right there. Just going to take a marker and mark those, and that way I can line all this stuff up. All right, there it is. Looks like I'm about to mount some epic hardware to it. Okay, so I'm going to use my same hole punch that I used to punch the holes in the leather here, and I'm going to punch out my 4 holes. This one I'm not going to punch out. It's just a reference point on where to put this later. So that, again, so it's all nice and centered, but I didn't have to grab my ruler out and measure a bunch of stuff because nobody likes slowing down for that, right? All right, now I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a straight slit, a line in between these, and I'm going to fold the canvas back towards the outside of the bag, which is what's facing me, and I'm going to tape it down with double-sided tape. That way, when I lay this on there, I'm going to sew around this line, and then I'm going to sew around the outside line, and my attempt is going to be to get it so that any edge that would fray, which is what I'm folding back, will actually be sewn underneath my zipper. Okay? So I'll get my straight edge out here. And I'll get my roller cutter out here somewhere. When I'm doing this, I want to make sure not to overcut, all right? So I may actually just cut part of it and then go back with a scalpel and clean it up. Nah, I got it pretty good. we go. All right, so again, I'm going to take those two cuts. I'm going to roll them back and fold them out that way. And then I'm going to stick them down because when I sew the zipper on, I want it to cover up the edge that could fray there, okay? So this canvas that's waxed is a little bit more difficult to do this with because tape's not going to stick to it very well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it back and I'm going to grab my squeaky toy here and I'm just going to crease the ever-loving heck out of it. All right, I'm going to do this one zipper at a time, okay? And I'll go ahead and unzip this thing because I need to see, I want to make sure, of course, that when I set both of these on here, that not only are they centered on each other's, or, you know, their own spot there, but I also want them to be straight and parallel to each other. I don't want one of them to be cockeyed by any means because it just won't look right. And we only make things that look right, right? All right, so I'm going to tape this zipper down, but again, it's not really going to tape down really, really well, but I just need it to hold long enough to walk it over to the sewing machine and get some stitches in it. Again, I don't want my tape to show at all on the outside of this piece of leather. I'm going to trim just one more tooth off that zipper right there to make sure I can sew right all up to the edge of it there. All right, and then when I put it on, I want the zipper to where when it's closed, that the slide is at the top. All right, not down here at the bottom. It would look kind of goofy if it were on the bottom. Trim some of my zipper tape here that's kind of showing out from under there. All right, and then I just centered that right over the hole that the holes that I had there. Now that I did, I'm going to very carefully, while pressing the zipper down, I'm going to zip it back up so that it sets flush and flat on the leather. All right, now I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm not going to take the camera over there with me, but just like any other zipper we've ever done in our videos, I'm going to sew around the one second. I'm going to sew around the inside part right up against the zipper chain, and then I'm going to come and sew around the outside part where it sews it actually to the canvas really well. And that's what will stick that sucker down. When I'm done sewing that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other zipper on the other side. Unless I can think of something that I need to tell you in between those, then when you see this next, it'll have both zippers sewn down. So I'll be right back. All right, got both those zippers sewn on good. I did take this little 6-inch quilter square and it fit perfectly in between the two zippers. And that helped me line up the bottoms of them to make sure it was straight across. And then it also helped me keep them perfectly parallel. So it worked out really, really well, and I'm glad that that happened to be the exact measurement I needed it to be, because it just made it so simple to set those two together. All right. I did also go ahead and sew my little patch onto this piece here. So now what I got to do is I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to go ahead and sew it down, and then we need to go ahead and rivet the D-ring into there, because one of the next steps is we're going to apply the giant pocket piece to the back side of this, and we don't want to rivet it all together when we do. Camera's out of focus. Come on, buddy. You can do it. I know I've said it 1,000 times. I have a new camera system, but what I don't have is someone to help me run it. It would be one where I need a cameraman. So, one of these days. I used to brag about working alone, but, you know, it gets to the point that it's not always the right answer anymore. Where's my scissors? There they are. I'm going to take some double-sided tape and just tape that piece down. I'll go back over to the sewing machine and go ahead and sew it on. And, yeah, then we're going to be ready to start putting some other pieces onto this bag. It's going to be a lot of fun. Every bit of this video is actually kind of optional. You don't really have to put these pockets on here, but they sure add to the cool factor of the bag if you do. I mean, it really looks kind of awesome with those two zippers and everything on the back. It just sets it apart from a store-bought bag any day of the week, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe I just don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Who knows? All right, so I'm going to try to set this piece up also parallel with, you know, everything else, because if it's not straight, you'll definitely see it in the finished project, and nobody wants to see that. So I'm using my ruler. It's got all these little grid lines on it and everything to let me know when it's straight. All right, good enough for government work, right? So I'm going to go and I'm just going to sew one line all the way around the perimeter of this patch piece and be right back. All right, so there she blows. That part's on there now. I need to take a little bit of russet leather, and I'm going to make me a little thing to slide in there with the D-ring on it. And we're going to rivet it down, and that's going to be it for this video. Yeah, let me grab those things. Sorry, we got further than I thought we would. Okay, if you've been following our bag making series, then you've seen me do this before. It's nothing new. It's nothing too crazy. But it is a great way to hold a D-ring onto a bag without a bunch of excessive edges hanging out and ugliness. So I'm going to go ahead and put a straight edge on this piece of leather here, and then I'll cut a 1-inch wide strip out of it. All right, my ruler's 2 inches wide, and it's got grid lines on half of it, so all I have to do is put it on the grid lines there, and I can see it well enough to cut me a 1-inch straight strip out of it. Now, I need to cut it down to size, which is going to be about here. And I'm going to use my little half-round punch that I had out earlier to do that. There's not an exacting science to the length of this. So yeah, it ended up being about 3.5 inches long. All right. So I am going to skive the tips of this down so it goes into the leather a little easier. one side and the other side. Doesn't have to be anything exact. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just want it to be able to go in there a little easier. All right, got me a little double-sided tape to hold that piece together. Put my D-ring in it. Apply my magical tape. Fold it exactly in half. And I'm going to take it, peel this away from the canvas a little bit. I'm going to slide it right behind it. Just like that. Okay? Looks great, looks fashionable. The brass matches the brass zippers. Everything is just peachy keen. So, got a hole punch out. I'm going to put a hole right halfway in between where this comes out of the leather and where my Maker's Mark patch is. Just as in between as I can eyeball there. And I'm going to punch a hole through it for my, my rivet. And I'm going to use a nice brass rivet that matches all the other brass pieces. Hopefully you're noticing a theme here. Many projects have not been completed in this project, in this shop, because if I don't have all matching hardware, I'm not going to do it. I just, every time I look at it, I'll just cringe. All right, I'm going to get my rock back up, and we're going to set that brass rivet. This brass rivet is just like a copper rivet, except it's made of brass, of course. Only place I can find them is Tandy. I'm not going to lie. They've got them in multiple sizes and everything, and I don't resell them or anything. I just use them in my own personal leather work, so I don't mind buying them there. I shop there just like everybody else. All right, put my washer on there. Clipped off the excess post. Got my ball peen hammer. All right, mushroom that real good. Flip my hammer over to the flat side. And I'm going to rub my hand across it because just in case one day I stick my hand in there in that pocket, I don't want it to get cut. So I run my finger across it every which way, make sure it's nice and smooth on all sides. There we have it. It's beautiful, isn't it? I'm so excited. Let's finish a bag. I bet we can do it today if we hurry. All right, I'm going to pause it or stop this video. This is where we're at for now, but I will immediately start the next video. I'm just trying to break it into easy-to-watch segments for people so that they can reference and find points of the videos quicker. So, again, I am Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply, and this has been part 2 of the Roll Top Rucksack. Thanks for watching.